In the heart of a sprawling, gleaming city filled with soaring towers and buzzing flying vehicles, Marcus sat quietly in his workshop, surrounded by strange machines and blinking lights that only he truly understood. Known far and wide as a brilliant inventor, Marcus had built many amazing things, but recently he had been feeling lonely and overwhelmed by his work. Deciding that some help might bring order to his chaotic life, he placed an unusual order not for another machine or assistant, robot, but for a young maid to manage his home and keep his life in balance. Days passed, and when the courier finally arrived, Marcus was eager to meet the person who would change his world. But when the door opened, the figure that stepped inside was unlike anything he expected. Instead of a typical young woman, there stood a tall, elegant figure dressed in soft, flowing clothes that shimmered faintly under the workshop's cold lights. Her skin had a subtle glow, and her hair fell like silver threads over her shoulders. Marcus noticed something else immediately. Her eyes were closed. And despite being blind, she walked with the confidence and grace of a ruler. Her presence filled the room with a quiet power that made Marcus feel both curious and cautious. She introduced herself in a gentle voice, saying her name was Lyra, a princess from a distant, unknown planet, sent here under mysterious circumstances. Marcus's mind raced, unsure if this was some elaborate mistake or something much more significant. Questions flooded his thoughts. Why had a blind alien princess arrived at his doorstep when all he had requested was a maid? What danger was she running from? And most importantly, could he trust her? Though hesitation filled the air, Marcus felt an unexpected pull of sympathy and fascination. He sensed that Lyra was no ordinary visitor and that her presence might unlock secrets far beyond his inventions. Despite the uncertainty, he decided to allow her to stay, wondering if this strange encounter was the beginning of something extraordinary. As the city's neon lights flickered outside, Marcus watched Lyra carefully move through his workshop, sensing her unusual ability to see without eyes. A silent tension hung between them, a mix of anticipation and doubt, as Marcus prepared for a future he could never have predicted, one where his life and his world would be forever changed by the arrival of a blind alien princess. Despite her closed eyes and silent steps, Lyra moved through Marcus's home with a quiet confidence that left him both amazed and puzzled. It became clear very quickly that her blindness was not a limitation, but a different way of experiencing the world. While Marcus relied on his eyes and machines to understand his surroundings, Lyra seemed to sense everything in ways he could not begin to imagine. She could hear the faintest vibrations in the air, feel the flow of energy in his inventions, and even smell the subtle chemical changes in his laboratory that indicated a machine was not working as it should. Watching her navigate his complex home, which was filled with strange gadgets, narrow hallways, and hidden rooms, Marcus realized that Lyra's other senses were far sharper than his own. It was as if she could see through the walls, detect the heartbeat of the building itself, and understand its secret language. One day, while Marcus was struggling with a new invention that refused to activate, Lyra stepped forward and, without touching a single wire, whispered advice about how to adjust the energy flow. To his shock, when he followed her instructions, the machine sprang to life, humming smoothly as it had never done before. This moment deepened Marcus's curiosity about Lyra's abilities and made him question what kind of life she had led before arriving here. Over time, their relationship shifted from cautious cooperation to a fragile trust. Marcus found himself sharing small pieces of his life story, and in return, Lyra revealed hints about hers. She spoke softly about her home, a planet far away, ruled by an ancient family that had protected their people for centuries. Lyra was not just a princess in title, but a guardian of traditions and secrets that few outsiders could understand. However, she also told Marcus that her world was far from peaceful. Political rivals, jealous and hungry for power, had forced her into exile. The simple order for a maid had transformed into a sanctuary for a royal fugitive. Marcus felt the weight of this truth settle over his workshop like a shadow, deepening the mystery surrounding Lyra. Questions about her enemies and the forces chasing her whispered through his mind like a silent warning. Yet, Even with the danger looming, Lyra remained calm, her strength shining through every word and movement. Marcus, once skeptical, began to see her not as a burden but as a key to unlocking knowledge beyond his understanding. The house that had felt empty and cold was now alive with possibility, with Lyra's presence transforming it into a place of hidden power and secret hope. Together, they moved forward cautiously, each day revealing new layers of trust, mystery, and the promise of something greater than either could have imagined. News of Lyra's presence on Earth began to slip through the hidden networks of space, carried by whispers and encrypted messages that only the most dangerous and determined could follow. The exiled princess, once thought lost, had become a beacon for those who sought the power locked within her royal bloodline and the secrets of her distant world. Among these pursuers was a ruthless alien faction known for their unyielding methods and cold efficiency. It chased fugitives across galaxies, crushing resistance with brutal precision. And now, their sights were set on Earth. It was not just Lyra they wanted, but the knowledge and technology that came with her ancient secrets capable of shifting the balance of power across the stars.
Ow.
Marcus noticed the first signs of trouble before Lyra did. Strange signals intercepted by his own surveillance devices. Mysterious energy readings outside the city, and the faint but unmistakable presence of unfamiliar ships in the upper atmosphere. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Marcus confronted Lyra with his fears, told her that their quiet days might soon end, and that the hunters would come for her. Lyra listened with calm determination, her eyes still closed, but her mind sharp and focused. She explained that she had always known this moment would come, that her exile was only temporary, a pause in a much larger battle for survival and justice. Together they began preparing. Marcus's technological genius, combined with Lyra's unique abilities, created a new kind of defense. He built devices that could scramble enemy sensors, while Lyra used her heightened perception to predict their movements and find weaknesses in their approach. Each day brought a new test of their growing partnership, as they learned to trust each other's strengths and compensate for their weaknesses. The tension in Marcus's home grew thicker, a constant reminder that their safety was fragile and temporary. One night, the inevitable happened. Dark ships descended from the sky, silent and swift, landing in hidden corners of the city like shadows come alive. The alien hunters moved with precision, their footsteps careful but relentless as they closed in on Marcus's workshop. But Marcus and Lyra were ready. Using a combination of stealth, traps, and quick thinking, they turned the tide in there. Lyra's ability to sense their presence before they spoke or moved gave them an edge no technology could match, while Marcus's inventions created barriers and distractions that slowed the attackers. The battle was not one of brute force, but a fierce contest of minds and wills. Every move counted, every second was a test of courage. The hunters were skilled and ruthless, but they underestimated the power of unity between a human and an alien princess. Slowly but surely, Marcus and Lyra pushed back the invaders, driving them into retreat. When the last ship disappeared into the night sky, the city was quiet once more, but Marcus knew this victory was only the beginning. The threat would return, stronger and more determined. Yet, in that moment, he felt a surge of pride and hope. Together, they had faced the impossible and survived. Their bond had become a weapon and their courage a shield. Marcus understood. Now that Lyra was not just a stranger or a visitor, she was a partner, a protector, and a symbol of a future where different worlds could unite to overcome even the darkest dangers. As dawn broke, casting light on the quiet city, Marcus and Lyra prepared for what was yet to come, ready to stand side by side against any storm that threatened their fragile peace. As the relentless assault from the alien hunters pressed harder against Marcus's fortified workshop, a moment came when hope seemed to waver, and the weight of danger grew heavier than ever before. Despite their clever traps and sharp minds, the invaders adapted quickly, pushing through defenses and closing in with a determination that chilled Marcus to the core. It was in this desperate hour that Lyra revealed something Marcus had never expected an extraordinary power deeply connected to her blindness, a gift that transformed her perceived weakness into a formidable strength. She explained that while her eyes could not see, her mind could connect directly with technology around her, reaching into the circuits and energy flows as if they were part of her own body. This mental link allowed her to sense the invisible currents of power in machines, to understand their functions without touching them, and to control their systems with thought alone. At first, Marcus found it difficult to believe. But when Lyra focused her mind, his laboratory responded as if alive lights dimmed and brightened. Devices shifted and hummed, and a powerful energy field began to glow around the room. Together, they activated a secret defense mechanism Marcus had only dreamed of building, but never completed, a complex web of electromagnetic shields and automated countermeasures designed to protect the lab from external attacks. Under Lyra's guidance, the shield rose like a shimmering barrier, blocking incoming energy blasts and trapping the invaders outside. The hunters, taken aback by this sudden and unexpected resistance, faltered in their assault, their advanced technology disrupted by a force they had not predicted. Marcus watched in awe as Lyra moved with calm determination, her mental connection weaving through every circuit and wire, strengthening their defense and guiding their counterattack. Her strength was not just in power, but in wisdom, the quiet, a certainty of someone who had faced unimaginable challenges and refused to yield. As the battle continued, Marcus felt a growing admiration for the princess, who had become his protector and partner. He saw beyond her blindness to a radiant spirit, a will forged by hardship and shaped by duty. And he realized that her true power lay not in any weapon or machine, but in her unwavering resolve to survive and protect those she cared about. With their combined abilities, Marcus and Lyra pushed the alien invaders back step by step, turning what seemed like an impossible fight into a victory born of courage and unity. When the last threat had passed, and the lab fell silent once again, Marcus looked at Lyra with new respect. He understood now that the future they faced was uncertain and dangerous, but together they were stronger than any enemy. The power within Lyra was a beacon of hope, a reminder that sometimes the greatest strength comes not from what the eyes can see, but from what the heart and mind can imagine. In that quiet moment, as the first light of dawn crept through the windows, Marcus made a silent promise to stand by her side, ready to face whatever trials lay ahead, knowing that, with Lyra's power and his inventions, they could overcome even the darkest shadows, threatening their world with the last of their enemies driven away and the danger momentarily past. A new chapter began for Marcus and Lyra. The battles they had fought together had forged a bond stronger than either had expected, one built on trust, respect, and a shared purpose. Lyra, once a frightened exile from a distant world, now stood tall and confident in her new home Earth. The thought of returning to her planet, where political strife and threats still simmered, no longer felt urgent. Instead, she chose to stay, believing that Earth and humanity could offer something different, a chance for peace and growth that her own world had lost. Marcus, whose life had been solitary and focused on machines, found himself stepping into a new role as Lyra's trusted advisor and friend. His knowledge of technology and the human spirit made him the perfect bridge between the alien heritage Lyra carried and the world she was learning to protect. Together, they began working on ways to connect their two civilizations, sharing ideas and innovations that could benefit both. Lyra's unique abilities combined with Marcus's inventions opened doors to understanding far beyond what either had imagined possible. As they traveled from the busy cities to the quiet places of Earth, they met people curious and cautious, but hopeful for the future that this alliance could bring. News of their partnership spread, inspiring others to believe that humans and aliens could stand together against the darkness that had once threatened to tear them apart. The path was not easy. Old fears and misunderstandings lingered, but each success, each shared discovery brought them closer to a future where differences became strengths rather than barriers. Marcus often marveled at how Lyra's presence had transformed not only his home, but the entire world around them. She brought light to the shadows and hope to the uncertain. Together, they dreamed of exploring the stars, protecting not just Earth, but all the planets that might one day join their growing alliance. In the quiet moments after the sun set and the city's lights flickered on, Marcus and Lyra would sit, side by side, planning the next steps in their journey. They knew challenges awaited, but with unity as their foundation, they faced the future without fear. Their story was no longer just about survival, it was about building a legacy of friendship, courage, and discovery that could change the course of history. As Earth and Lyra's home planet slowly began to heal the wounds of the past, the alliance between human ingenuity and alien heritage promised a new dawn, one where together they could overcome any obstacle, explore the unknown, and create a universe where hope and cooperation shone brighter than ever before.